Welcome back to the Cornies Notes version. Health matters simplified so you can understand. What we're going to talk about today is what to do when you're flared up. When you get home from work and your back is hurting and all you want to do is lay down because you're hurting so badly, this is what you do. Get into the position I'm in right now, flat on your back, with your feet and knees about shoulder distance apart. And the first thing you want to think about is motion. And when you start moving, move my hands out so you can see. When you start moving, we're going to focus on the lower back and think, how small of a motion can I make without it causing an increase in pain? And so we go to the pelvic curls. The pelvic curls, you arch your back, engaging the back muscles like you're sticking it out, and then relax. And then you tuck, flattening your back, curling your pelvis under using your stomach muscles, and then relax. And sometimes when I go to arch, it hurts too much. I just can't. I can't arch both sides at the same time, or I get a shooting pain down my leg. And so what we've developed is another one that we call wag the tail. With wag the tail, you arch, but just arch one side of the back, and then let it relax. And then arch the other side of your back and let it relax. And as you start getting some motion into your spine, you'll notice that your symptoms start to settle down. So we start with some pelvic curls, tuck, relax, arch, relax. Then we do some wag the tail, side to side, arching to the left, arching to the right. And then I like to do pelvic rolls. Pelvic rolls are where we arch to one side and then we roll it around to the other side and then we roll it back. And this actually is my favorite of the motion exercises because it really helps things to get loosened up. So once we've got some motion in there, then we want to stretch it out. When we stretch it out, I like to start with a single knee to chest stretch. So we take one knee, we pull it up, straighten the other leg, and then really pull that stretch up. They should have called this actually the knee to the armpit stretch because it works better if you let your leg kind of fall off to the side and then you pull it up really more towards your armpit than your chest. You want to hold this for 10 to 15 seconds. When we talk about stretching, pretty much all the time, they're going to be 10 to 15 second stretches. 10 seconds if we're not really trying to lengthen the muscle, but we're just trying to kind of loosen it up and feel a little bit better. And so I've done some motion, I've done a little bit of stretching, and I'm still feeling this pain from sitting at the chair, at the desk, at the computer doing notes this afternoon. And so next I want to show you the twist stretch. I originally called it the pelvic twist stretch, and you can do it really for your full spine. This is my favorite stretch of all. So the pelvic twist stretch, we're going to shift our hips to the side, straighten the leg that's in the center, then shift and twist. So you're twisting your lower back by turning your pelvis. Your shoulders are staying flat up towards the ceiling. They're going to reach and grab above the knee of the bent leg and then pull that down towards the table, twisting your spine. You'll feel a gentle stretch across the lower back. Hold that for 10 to 15 seconds and then do the same thing the other way. So we're going to shift, straighten, shift and twist, grab that knee and, oh man, does that ever feel good? Right in here. You'll notice the higher you bring your knee up, the more you're going to feel it in your hip and in your glutes. And the lower you leave your knee, the more you'll be able to rotate, and the higher you'll feel that stretching up your back. So you can modify that stretch based on how high you bring your knee up. But I don't really recommend throwing the leg out because you can cause too much torque and aggravate your back. So when we shift, we're not going to throw the leg out. We're going to let that foot rest on the downward leg, grab above the bent knee, pull the knee down. Oh, and feel that stretch. How long to hold it? I don't feel it's necessary to hold a stretch longer than 15 seconds. But hold it until it doesn't feel good anymore, up to 15 seconds. So sometimes you'll go and you'll start stretching and you'll be like, oh, that doesn't feel good. So come out of it. Don't worry about it. Go to the next thing. Another one we can do for relief is the double knee to chest stretch. Sometimes this will feel good. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. If it feels good, then you should probably do that one. Because the goal when you're doing these is to decrease your pain. When you come home from work and you're hurting and you say, oh, I can't do my exercises because I'm hurting too badly, that means you're not doing your exercises right. You should do them in a way that when you finish, you're going to feel a little bit better than when you started. And that's where I am right now. When I started this, I was at about a 3 to a 5 out of 10. Right now I'm down to a 1 or a 2. And so I think we should do a little bit of strength. For the strength, we're going to do the bridge. The bridge, we bring our feet under our knees, and then we're going to lift. So now our knee, our hip, and our shoulder are in a straight line. If this aggravates you, drop back down and do something different. But ultimately, this is a really important exercise because it's going to build strength in your back. And anytime we strengthen the back, we also have to strengthen the front. So I'm going to do 2 more sets of the bridge, and then I will do a plank. What's my goal? My goal is to get this pain in my back to calm down. How long are we holding? When we do our bridges, we want to hold for 10 seconds. But there, I held it until it started to hurt. It started to hurt, so I came back down. And then what am I doing? Motion. Back to motion. And I'm feeling pain into this hip. So I'm going to go back to the hip stretch. The order of the exercises are going to depend really on how you're feeling that day. It's not always going to be the same. It doesn't have to always be the same. But you do always want to do motion first, flexibility or stretching second, and strength only after things are warmed up and stretched out a little bit. All right, one more strength for the stomach. And so the planks, we can do it on our fists or our hands. We're going to do some from the fists here, and we just step back and we hold the plank. 10 seconds, just like we did with the bridges, because we always want to build opposing muscle groups. And so the stomach muscles oppose the back muscles. Coming out of that, we need to do some motion, and so we can go directly into the cat-camel, also known as the cat-cow. Motion is lotion, so it's always good to go back to motion. Then you can go into your next rep of your plank. Holding about 10 seconds, and then come back out of it. And back to motion. Still feeling a little bit stiff, so I'm going to do one more plank and then some twist stretch. And that'll probably be it for today's demonstration. What am I strengthening right now? The stomach. All right. Still feeling a little bit sore. I'm going to come back on my back. Let's do one more round here. A little bit of motion. And then, oh, this is my favorite. And remember to breathe. In a different lesson, we talked about the core, and we talked about the diaphragm, and how the diaphragm is part of your core. And so breathing is going to be really important. We want to maintain breathing when we're exercising. All right, that has now settled down to about a 1 or a 2. And so that's one example of how you can do some things at home when you get home from work to help the back to settle down when you're flared up. So thank you for watching the Cornies Notes version. Health matters made simple so you can understand. And remember, get adjusted because it feels good.